Welcome to the Valley of Tears gravel race in Turkey, Texas. Little middle of nowhere Texas town. Lots of dirt, not a lot of people, not a lot of traffic. Awesome roads, and there's a lot of gravel racers here. There's a $47,000 prize purse. Some of it soaked up in this dirt crit the day before. You can see me dodging that crash just narrowly. There was actually a pretty cool expo too, and I think Wheels of Giving was the tent. They were giving out stuff. You plugged a tire, and then they gave out whatever you wanted on that thing, which was really cool and allowed me to grab this Vittoria Mezcal XC 2.1 inch on the front. I wanted this because later in the race, there's some crazy sections, but I have that Continental Terra Speed on the back and a 45 mil. So those are the tires I'm running. It starts out into a limestone pit. Then we go out into Caprock Canyon, some single track, little Sarlacc pit, which is what I'm calling it, and then we head into this Martian wasteland area. There's a lot of sand on this course and some very defining parts of the course that will separate the race if you're out of position. I start out here behind Chase Work. It's a cold start. I think roughly 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it doesn't get over 60 through the whole day. So I've got on my long sleeves and perhaps slightly ashamed to say I have an aero bra on underneath, but I was looking for all the advantages I could get. And the aero bra added some warmth, so I put that on despite having this Insta360 camera just poking out of my chest underneath the jersey, which I'm sure looked magnificent the whole time. We start out on the pavement, right hand into a left hand onto our first dirt stretch, just a few 100 feet into the race. I think we had over 40 starters for this race and a lot of big gravel hitters, including Alexei Vermeulen, who you can see on the left in the gray and blue, which seems to be the colorway of the gravel teams this year. I am on my Haro Buzzard. Again, I've got those 2.1 inch tires on the front, SRAM Force shifters, 50-tooth chainring, 13 speed, and these stupid one-sided pedals, which I usually use if I'm not going to have to get off during a race, or if I have the opportunity to clip in easier after. Those pedals will be consequential later in this race, but at the beginning, we start on some hard pack gravel. There's plenty of hard pack gravel, and then all of a sudden, it just turns to shit into a deep sand pit. It's hard to predict it coming, and it looks very similar to what their dirt/gravel roads look like throughout the race. So we enter into the first little sand pit section, and it kind of gets crazy. I'm not in great position. The start was hard. I didn't warm up at all because I was just kind of fussing with all my gear, and I am not in the best spot to respond to stuff. I left a gap here just in case people were crossing up, and you'll see them do that. If you hit your brakes in sand, it tends to throw you off your bike. I've done that before. I broke my collarbone in Nebraska doing that, so I'm being extra careful here. 4 miles into the race, you can see people are taking all sorts of crazy lines. I'm trying to find the best sand to ride in. The beginning of this race was super difficult. 16 minutes at roughly 350 watts into the limestone pit, which we're going to enter soon enough. We all got through the sand pit okay. There were some gaps that formed, but I had to chase back on with a guy or two to the bigger group, and then it regrouped until mile 8, where we entered the limestone pit, which is a crazy feature to have 8 miles into a 90-mile race. Nevertheless, it was one of the defining features here on this little gravel straight. I tried to move up into the best position I could. On the right here, you can see all the hitters are up there as well. A guy named Simon, who actually got second at Unbound. Some Lunchbox riders up here with their deep wheels. This guy in the Panormal kit, who I know is super strong. He's got some big gravel results. I don't know his name, even though it's kind of a foreign name, so apologies for that. You can look him up and find him pretty easy on like Ben Delaney's channel if you wanted to. Daxton Mock over here on the left won that dirt crit. He's on good form. He was really fast at gravel. So I'm in good position going into this. You can see There's some sand. We hit this limestone pit, and it just goes crazy. I knew the right was a little better positioning, so I tried to do that, but I went too far right and hit some rocks here. I was losing pace pretty quick at this point. I decided to get off and run once I saw Chase Work up there take a tumble. Everybody else is kind of doing their thing to stay in their pedals, stay on their bike, keep pedaling. It looks like they're working pretty hard, and I was moving up with relative ease, just kind of jogging alongside everyone else. So I thought this was the right idea. You see that guy in the tall guy in the black kit there. He's doing the same thing. Up on the right here, there's a harder pack single track section, and we moved up onto that. But I saw Alexi down there on the left just making pace. And I was like, man, maybe I should get out of this line, get down there and see if I can pass people. Right as I do that, it speeds way up top. And I start losing positions yet again. So I decided to get back up there, try to get on my bike, but these single-sided pedals did not allow me to get in. They sit kind of weird, kind of tilted backwards, more so than a road pedal, so they're hard to tow in. I am not clipped in for the rest of this top section, and so I'm not super confident in riding that. You can see how they sit right like that. Super hard to get into, and I was pretty frustrated about that. Just watching these guys go off the front, I had to get back off my bike, which kind of sucked. And there are some deeper sections up here, which I actually had to get off again, I believe. Yeah. And you can see Simon right there, who got, I believe, second at Unbound this past year. So these guys are strong. Chase Work just passes me there too. I've got some work to do to catch back up to these guys. I'm still not clipped in, and I'm just losing a ton of time to these guys up the front. Russell Finsterwald actually attacked into this section, which you may have seen. I think coming out of it, he had like a 10-second gap on everyone else. But I chased back on with a little group. We actually caught Russell on the road section coming right out of this part and into like a trail, the Caprock Trail maybe. But there was a group off the front of roughly 6 to 8 guys, and then Russell and I and another group chasing on into the Caprock Canyon Park. So that front group of 6 to 8 guys has roughly a minute on us into the Caprock Canyon State Park, where there's a lot of single track and very technical sections. But the group I was with of probably 6 to 7 guys, we were going pretty strong into this whole section. We've got Adam Roberge, we've got Russell, and there is Thomas. I think Fuller is his name up there. And then there's another Envy rider. This guy in the white here is also super strong. I think he's a lunchbox rider on Chase Work's team. He's super strong too. I should probably know his name, but I am not super familiar with gravel because I don't get to do a lot of them. So you can see this super techie single track section. It'll get crazier than this, but into this section, after the sand pit, I had to chase for almost 30 minutes at around 330 watts. After that, into Caprock, another 310 watts for another 35 minutes. So well over 320 watts for the first hour and a half of this race. It's pretty hard. And then through Caprock, it took about 30 minutes, and my average power was 307, which was pretty crazy, judging by how much coasting we were doing throughout this whole thing. And in fact, we went very quick. Russell ended up first overall on the Caprock section. I think it's called like Chasing the Buffalo. And I got second overall, which I was pretty stoked on, not knowing how to single track descend super well. But we ended up putting in 30 seconds on the front group throughout this whole section. So I think we were some of the fastest that went throughout this all day, which explains the absolute terror that I had through some of these sections, just holding onto the bars as hard as I could, following Adam Roberge here. I lost a bottle into this. So I only had one tall bottle for this first 50 miles of the race. Luckily it's cold, but I was a little bit concerned about that throughout the whole race, whether or not I was going to cramp. I have been doing some heat training here and there, getting ready for Redlands, but nothing that would prepare me for what ended up being, I think, a 315 watt normalized power day for the 4.5 hours on just 2 bottles of water. So I was a little concerned that that was how it's going to go. We'll see later if that works out for me. But we continue on through the single track section. We lost a lot of guys throughout this part from our little chase group. See, we have 5 right here, and I think we had lost maybe another 3 or 4 dudes throughout the single track section in Caprock Canyon State Park. We were going very hard, and I was scared for a lot of it, and I was going super hard for a lot of it, just trying to close back down gaps. Roberge was leaving a pretty good gap on this first part, but I think he quickly got comfortable. I did not quickly get comfortable, so I was leaving gaps on a lot of it, and had to spend plenty of energy to get back onto this charge led by Russell, who's a very talented gravel technical rider, which I learned the hard way. Throughout the rest of this little canyon part, there's a lot of hikers. We weren't lapping anyone because we were the first to run through it, but there's a lot of step downs and places where you could get really put out of place if you weren't paying attention for this half an hour of the race. I was very happy to have that Mezcal Vittoria tire on the front, a little bit beefier than most of their other options. The mountain bike tire on the front really helped here. I was concerned about flatting, but it definitely prevented any sort of flats or tire slippage in the front. I got to test it in that dirt crit the day before and became pretty confident in the front tire's ability to grip, especially on this kind of looser, dry stuff, which I think is what that tire is made for. Got really lucky to have that available. We ended up going hard through this whole thing. I'm gonna let you watch a little bit of this descending, but was super excited to come out to this race and do the biggest gravel race I've done to date. My team doesn't really support gravel racing. I think my team manager doesn't understand it or like it really much at all. And I think it's one of the most fun type of racing. You get a big adventure and a big story. If you agree with me and maybe want to see me do some more gravel, you can help by sharing this or subscribing or liking or whatever you want to do. If you know somebody who wants to sponsor a gravel race, I don't know. I want to do more, so please help. Anyway, racing through the single track here, just 30-ish miles in, and this is the gap that I let go many times. It gets flatter at the bottom. It also gets sandier as you cross down into more of like a washed out section throughout the whole time. At this point, there was just 4 of us left. There's Russell, Adam Roberge, and this guy on, I believe, Alexi's development team, and we are chasing a group up front of 6 to 8 riders. By the time we got out of Caprock Canyon State Park, we had closed down to maybe 10 seconds of a gap, which was pretty awesome to see. There were these little washes here where I was actually able to make up time on the guys that I was with, so I didn't have to go too hard to catch back onto them. But it was a hard part of the race, especially with very little water. I didn't eat enough either because it's so technical up until this point, and so I was going to have to catch back up on the nutrition, hopefully the hydration, as we get out of Caprock Canyon State Park. It got a little more road, a little less technical, faster gravel throughout that section, and we caught up to the leaders, which was super nice. I was very concerned after that little limestone sandpit that we were never going to catch, and that we were destined for minor placings on the day. It does pay out top 10, which is cool and means everybody's fighting the whole day for those top 10 places. So we come into Caprock Canyon, we exit, and right at the exit of Caprock Canyon is when we make that catch on the front group. So we've got a pretty big group here. Russell, we've got Alexi, Daxton, there's Chase Work over there on the left. Chase did end up attacking on the faster sections into the start finish, so he's on the prowl to get off the front, and he seems to have plenty of energy. I'm trying to catch up. I take a few gels, doing some carbs fuel gels. You got Alexi Vermeulen over there on the left. There's a few points where people would attack and the group would just shred apart. Chase's attack caused a little shredding. I actually was with Alexi at that point, but it all came back together into the start finish. We came around those little dumpsters there, and then there's a final corner into the finish. So note those last few corners. But I have the Milligan coach who they helped me a lot for this race weekend. So thank you to them for that. A lot of good people over at the Milligan team, and Johnny over there actually handed me a bottle, my only spare bottle for the day. I was quite unprepared. Again, don't really have a ton of team support at gravel races, being mostly a road team. It got weird here. Spirit of Gravel, I think, started hitting everybody, and naturally that means just keep the pace really high through the feed. And at that point, it split apart a little bit, but then it caught all back together in time for Chase Wark to make another attack. He got off solo into what I'm going to call the Sarlacc pit. It gets super sandy. I ended up being in a little break, about to catch them. I didn't want to do that, so they caught me. They ended up catching Chase too when we got into this very sandy section that we're calling the Sarlacc pit from now on. And the reason why is because it's so sandy. There was this right line that I was following. I noticed watching back in the video that the lead group is actually on the left tire track up there. The right line got super soft, and I did not notice that when I was racing. I was starting to crack a bit here, trying to catch up on nutrition, but I was just very behind. You can see Russell in front of me also struggling a little bit, and that's because we're both in the right line, which was just a terrible line to take. I ended up getting off my bike at this point and just starting to run just because I was going so slow. I decided to get back into the pedals. I'm fumbling here really bad. I think I was a little bit cracked at this point in the race, and they just disappear off the front. Luckily, I had Thomas behind me who caught back up once we got onto the pavement stretch. There's a 10-mile pavement stretch right after this section. Super crosswindy. There's a group of, I think, 3 or 4 off the front, a group of 2 chasing them, and then Russell and a guy in a black kit right behind them. And then I actually ended up catching with Thomas. So we have a group of 4 chasing a group of 2, chasing a group of 3 or 4 also, with Alexi up there and Chase Wark off the front. So we get past that pavement section into the Martian Wasteland. We've got the 4 of us. We ended up catching Daxton Mox, so there was just 5 off the front. Then we come to this Caprock Canyon trail. 4 of us, me, Daxton, Thomas, and Russell. Russell sends just not really an attack, but he just keeps pushing the pace on this really soft gravel single track trail. And we lost the other 2. We lost Daxton and then we lost Thomas. So it's just me and Russell. There's 5 guys off the front, including Alexi Vermeulen. Simon, I think, was dangling off the back of them at this point. So really it's just a group of 4. Alexi, Chase Wark, the foreign guy in the Panormal kit, and then Adam Roberge are all up there. And me and Russell are back here just trying to duke it out with one another. At the end, I heard that Chase Wark actually sent a little attack off the front with 5 miles to go roughly. He was caught back, so there was a sprint of 4 of them into the finish, which we'll talk about at the very end who won that. But of concern for me, I am trying to fight Russell for that 6th place spot. It does pay out to 10, so we're not getting different payment, but I want to see if I can beat Russell into the finish. We are less than a mile from the finish here. There's still plenty of dirt and sand. We get off this trail, which was pretty hard. I was expecting him to attack me the whole time into it, but it didn't seem like he had the motivation to do so. Maybe he didn't know I liked to sprint. I was going to take advantage of that if I possibly could. I knew we had to be first into that corner with the dumpsters that we had done many times during the dirt crit. Him much farther in front of me, having started at the back. I just had to weave my way through people. But I see the Milligan trailer on the right, and I know we're getting really close to that corner because we parked right next to the corner. There, I decided to attack around Russell, try to beat him into that corner, and first into that corner, I felt like was going to win the race. There's not a lot of places to pass, except for the one that he chose, which was between the dumpsters. Genius move, got him like 15 feet on me into the start finish. I pretty much just had to give up from there, barring him crashing in that last corner onto the pavement. He did not. He got 6th. I ended up 7th place. Pretty awesome race. At the front, Alexi ended up winning the sprint in front of the guy in the Panormal kit, and then Adam Roberge in 3rd, which was kind of crazy. This was an awesome race. Russell with the excellent mountain bike line at the finish. Alexi broke his shifter at one point before he finished, which was also pretty crazy. If you like these videos, yeah, please just let me know in the comments and I'll try to get to some more gravel races. Thanks for watching. See ya.